Welcome back to another edition of Behind the Mic with AudioFile magazine, the place where we discuss audiobooks. Emily Connelly is with me. She's an editor at AudioFile. She's been with me for the whole week. Hey, Emily.
Hi, Joe.
I'm ready.
All right. Well, today I have a historical fiction novel from Silvia Moreno-Garcia, and it's The Seventh Veil of Salome. And it's narrated by Victoria Villarreal and an ensemble cast to fill in with some interesting other characters' points of view. And it's a really lush historical novel about filming sort of sword and sandal film back in the 1950s Hollywood. And it's really focused on three different characters, three different women who Victoria is getting to narrate. And that's Vera, who's a young Mexican woman discovered working in a dentist's office and given the role of a lifetime as Salome in a big biblical film.
Had she been an actress?
She had been acting just at school and in the community, but never in film. So it's like a big deal. She's, discovered and brought to Hollywood, and she's determined to learn, and she's really good, but she's also pretty naive and shocked by how she's treated there as a Mexican woman. And in particular, there's one woman, Nancy, who's another point of view that we get to follow, who's been trying to make it big since she was a kid and really was hoping for that role of Salome, and instead gets the role of a slave and is very angry and bitter and desperate, and gets more so over the course of the book. So we follow along with these two very different women who are both working on this film. And then we also have the point of view of Salome herself. I think it's written as if we were reading the screenplay that was being written for these actresses, though it's expanded beyond what you would usually find in a screenplay. So it's a really interesting way to tell the story of these three different women.
And Silvia Moreno-Garcia is just such a great storyteller. She's, of course, the author of Mexican Gothic, but she also wrote Silver Nitrate, which is another book about Hollywood. So clearly this has to be an interest for her.
I know. It's interesting too, because we do have all these other narrators who pop in with different perspectives, sort of giving us a sense of what maybe happens over the course of the book, saying yeah, I remember seeing her back when she came on stage, sort of more of the 50s, hey, look at that dame kind of tone to their narrations. So you're piecing together the story of these three women and this particular film.
Okay, so let's hear an excerpt. And who were we going to hear from?
So this is Victoria. She's narrating as Salome. So it's sort of setting the scene for that particular part of the story.
Okay, this is The Seventh Veil of Salome by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. It's narrated by Victoria Villarreal and an ensemble cast, but we're hearing from Victoria.
How still and stifling the day was, with no breeze to stir Salome's flowing dark locks of hair, dark like supple plums or purple grapes from Aluris. The sea looked as if it had been painted with a dainty brush, and the fishermen's boats lay motionless upon this expanse of azure. Sitting under a yellow awning that protected the balcony from the sun's rays, Salome was bored by this stillness, by the heat of the day, and by her mother's incessant prattling. Herodias spoke of the proconsul's imminent visit, of King Aretas, whose skirmishes had drained the energy of the Tetrarch's forces, of their cousin Marcus Julius Agrippa, who perhaps plotted against them or perhaps not, and of Prefect Pontius Pilate, who perpetually antagonized her family. And my lord does nothing to quench the vicious mutterings of that madman, Herodias added, referring to the preacher called Jochanan. The man stirred dissent throughout the streets, and of late troubled her mind.
Wow, this is much more in depth in Salome's story than I expected.
Yeah, so it's introduced as a screenplay, but then I think it's sort of as if the screenwriter sort of got away with himself and, went on and on, expanding what you would expect for a screenplay. So it's more in depth and definitely It was interesting to listen to it as an audiobook because she narrates it very formally. It's written very formally, which is in
The
contrast
Salome
with,
part.
the Salome part, which
Mhm.
is in contrast with the different other perspectives we get. But it helps you understand that story, which, if you, like me, aren't as familiar with the story of Salome, it's helpful to be hearing it as you go and imagining these different scenes that they could be capturing on film, with all the hundreds of people on stage, all the costumes and dramatic scenery.
Okay. That is The Seventh Veil of Salome by Silvia Moreno-Garcia, and it's read by Victoria Villarreal and an ensemble cast. Thank you, Emily. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. Talk to you then.
Jennifer L. Armentrout's latest thrilling story, Born of Flesh and Blood, is available now and is the sponsor of today's episode of Behind the Mic. I'm Jo Reed. I'll talk to you tomorrow.